Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday. And what a Wednesday it is. It's the big one, in case you didn't know, which I'm sure you did, because who doesn't know what's taking place tonight at the Etihad? Manchester City versus Arsenal, the game we've all been waiting for, the game that's been billed for months now as the title decider. And the day has finally arrived. I'm going to be heading up to Manchester very, very soon. Long drive ahead. But yeah, keep your eye out for all the usual stuff from me. If you want to follow all live updates from the game, then I will be there providing all the usual stuff. But before I get on the M6, the joys of the M6, I thought I'd pop on, do a video, have a little bit of a preview ahead of the game, see some more of what Mikel Arteta had to say, try and give a predicted 11, which is going to be impossible. Because just got a sneaky feeling Mikel might try something tonight. I don't know, I'm guessing, but he tends to in these away games, especially at City. So we'll see what he's got up his sleeve, if anything. Also talk a little bit about the Youth Cup. I was at that final last night. Bad night for Arsenal. In the end, losing 5-1 to West Ham. So we'll have a quick word about that as well. But first, we've got to talk. It's got to start with Manchester City. Such a huge game. Like I said, feels like we've been waiting for this game for ages. Unfortunately, what's happened in the last few weeks has taken away Arsenal's safety net. And now it kind of feels like win or bust, or certainly not lose or bust. But I was looking now, Opta have released their sort of percentages of going on and winning the title depending on what the results are, what the result is tonight. I think this says a lot about the game and how important it is for Arsenal. If Manchester City win, Opta believe they have a 91% chance of going on and winning the title, and Arsenal would only have a 9% chance. If it's a draw, Manchester City would have a 72% chance of going on and winning the title. Arsenal would have 28% chance. If Arsenal win, City would have a 44% chance of going on and win the title. Arsenal would have 56%. So I think that shows why it is even more important for Arsenal than it is for Man City, because of the results that have happened in the last few weeks. You know, if Arsenal win, they've only got a 56% probability of going on and winning the title. If Manchester City win, they have a 91% chance of going on and win the title. That's why this is such an important game for Arsenal now. If they really want to claim this title, they're going to have to do it the hard way, and they're going to have to really avoid defeat tonight. Mikel Arteta kind of playing it down a little bit in yesterday's press conference in terms of just how important this game is. He said it won't define the season. You know, both clubs have got tricky games to go. That is true, but if City win, 2 points behind with 2 games in hand, with Arsenal still got to go to Newcastle, still got to play Chelsea, still got to play Brighton. It's a tough ask. So you kind of feel like if Arsenal are going to get their hands on that trophy, that they're going to have to do something very, very special at the Etihad tonight. And look, who knows? It might happen. We will wait and see. History suggests it won't, because when you look at the stats, City have won all 6 home games against Arsenal under Pep Guardiola. City have won their last 11 league games home and away against Arsenal, and Arteta has lost all 6 league games he's had as manager or head coach against Manchester City. The only victory coming, of course, in that FA Cup semi-final in 2019 at Wembley. So all the odds are against Arsenal. All the history is against Arsenal. Can they shock everyone and pull out a result that will give themselves a real chance of winning the title? It's a huge game. It's impossible to say anything else about it. It's the biggest game in a generation. There's a generation of Arsenal fans who have never experienced a match like this. You know, if you weren't around during the Arsene Wenger era, during the start of the Arsene Wenger era, if you weren't there for the Arsenal-Manchester United battles from 1998 to 2004, then you've just never experienced a match like this or a night like this. And so it's opening up a whole new world of nerves and tension for certain fans. And for others, it's bringing back memories of, former glories, so to speak. I wrote a piece yesterday looking at some of Arsenal's best away days. And if they win tonight, this would certainly be added to that list. You go back to Old Trafford 1998, the Mark Overmars goal. You go to Sylvain Wiltord, Old Trafford 2002. Anfield 89, of course, Michael Thomas, the Bernabeu, Thierry Henry, David Rocastle at White Hart Lane in 1987. All those sort of games, these magical games that have been sort of in the Arsenal history books for the results and the importance of them away from home. If they can win tonight at the Etihad, then this will join that list of great Arsenal away days. So the opportunity is there to make yourself a hero. Someone can make themselves a hero tonight. Can they do it? Can they see off Manchester City? Can they manage to keep the ball out of the net? That's the key thing. I think Arsenal will score tonight. They tend to score. They pretty much always score. You look in the last 3 games, they've scored 9 goals. They've scored 2 at Liverpool, 2 at West Ham, 3 at home to Southampton. And yet they haven't won a single game because of the defence, because of the goals they've been conceding. They can't do that tonight against Erling Haaland and against Manchester City. All right, so speaking ahead of the game, some more quotes from Mikel Arteta in the sort of embargo section. So it wasn't in the live bit of the press conference. You wouldn't have seen it in yesterday's press conference. It was the 10:30 quotes coming out for today's newspapers. He was talking about the players feeling the pressure. He said, no, and if they do, I will just say I will kill them. I don't want that at all. Obviously, the belief is there. When I look at how they've trained, how they've reacted after the weekend, the mood in the dressing room, how they've been defending each other in every moment, we really want it, and we're going to show that again tomorrow night. Obviously tonight. Then you have to deliver in the right moment, the right performance, and it have to be perfection, because that's what the last level demands. Absolute perfection in every single ball. And that is what it's going to take. If you're going to go and win at Manchester City, you need to be perfect. Arsenal have not been perfect. They've not even been close to being perfect in recent weeks. Defensively, they've been a bit of a shambles at times, and that can't happen. It just can't happen. If you're going away at Man City, if you've got Kevin De Bruyne dropping into space, getting on the ball, you've got Erling Haaland making those runs in and around the penalty area, you just can't be anything but perfect, because if you give Haaland a sniff, he's going to score. And if you give Haaland 2 sniffs, he's going to score twice. It's as simple as that. We've seen it this season. You know, you look at his goals tally, it's incredible. He's overachieving in terms of XG. He's that clinical in front of goals. So you can't give him chances. I think the best way for Arsenal not to give him chances is cutting the supply out. Because by the time the ball gets to Erling Haaland, then the damage has pretty much already been done. So you've got to try and win that midfield battle. You've got to try and really restrict the space that Kevin De Bruyne can find. And if you can do that, limit Jack Grealish's chances to run with the ball, which caused Arsenal so much problems certainly in the second half at the Emirates a couple of months ago. Those are the things you've got to stop at source and stop the ball getting to Erling Haaland. Make him be a frustrated figure, like he was in the FA Cup game when Arsenal went there. And look, Rob Holding got a lot of grief for his performance in that FA Cup game against City, but I actually thought he played pretty well. He was aggressive. He roughed up Haaland. Haaland got the better of him a couple of times, but Holding certainly got the better of him as well. And yes, he went off at half-time because he got the yellow card. He needs to try and make sure he doesn't get a yellow card today. But I thought in that first 45 minutes, he actually played pretty well against Haaland. Haaland didn't really get much of a chance. And by the time he went off, it wasn't Haaland who scored the winner that day. It was Nathan Ake. And, Haaland didn't really have much of a chance at all. So Arsenal played that pretty well in the cup game. And I think they need to do very, very similar tonight if they are going to get anything from the game. Team news wise, Granit Xhaka is there. He's available. He's travelled, which is good news. Obviously, missed a game against Southampton on Friday night with illness. Mikel's kind of was doing the whole mind games, whatever you want to call it, when he was saying he was still a doubt yesterday. But the expectation was he was always going to play. He was going to be fine, and he has travelled, so he's up there. I'm fully expecting Granit Xhaka to start. There's no Nathan Ake for Manchester City, which a few months ago wouldn't have been considered any great loss, but he's been excellent. Nathan Ake, he scored the winner in the FA Cup game a couple of months ago between the two sides, was man of the match that day, has made himself an integral part of Pep Guardiola's starting 11 in the last few months, Nathan Ake. So that is a big miss for them. Obviously, they've got the squad depth to be able to cover it relatively easily, comfortably, but still it is a big miss for them. Obviously, we know William Saliba's not around for Arsenal. He's not going to be available. So that's the latest team news ahead of the game. In terms of the predicted 11, this is a really hard one to call. I think, for me, I don't know. I mean, look, it's just predicted 11. It's impossible. I can't. I'm not going to get it right because, like I said, I've just got a sneaky feeling Mikel might do something a little bit out of the box. He might try and change something. He might, potentially bring in an extra defender. I don't know, but the predicted 11 I'm going with is just the same 11 that started against Southampton, apart from Granit Xhaka coming back in. So Ramsdale, White, Holding, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Odegaard, Xhaka, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. That's what I'm kind of predicting, but that's just like the easy choice, really, because you just never know. And I don't know what Mikel's thinking. He was kind of hinting yesterday when people were asking him, are you going to try something a little bit different? He was like, well, we'll wait and see. He's done it before at the Etihad. And I would not be at all surprised if I look at the team sheet tonight when it comes out at 7 o'clock and I'm like, oh, what's he done there? And he has tried something a little bit different, whether that be suddenly switching to a back three and, bringing in either Kivior as a left-sided centre-back or Kieran Tierney as a left-sided centre-back and playing Gabriel and Ben White alongside him at centre back, and then playing a wing back. So I don't know, but it wouldn't. All I'm saying is it wouldn't at all surprise me, and I've been intrigued to see what you guys think. Who would you like to see start? If he's going to change something, if he's going to do something different, what do you think it should be? The only issue for me is I worry. I look at what happened at Tottenham at West Ham, for example. At Tottenham and Newcastle, for example, when they suddenly changed system for that game in their big sort of Champions League decider, however they wanted to bill it, at St James's Park at the weekend. They've been so used to playing a back three. Suddenly they went to back four within 20 minutes they're 5-0 down. And that's the sort of risk you take if you suddenly change things. And Arsenal are so used to this system they've been playing. They haven't been concentrating on what other teams are going to do for a long, long time. They've just played the system they always play because that's what served them so well this season. That's what's brought them the success it has. The players know that system inside out. They know exactly where everyone's going to be. If suddenly you change that ahead of Manchester City, the biggest game of the season, and it just knocks everyone out of stride a little bit, then, in the blink of an eye, the game could be gone. And that's my big worry about if Mikel does try something a little bit different that none of us are really expecting. So he's got to weigh that up in terms of the positives and the negatives of changing things. That's why I've just gone with the same starting 11 that started against Southampton, aside from obviously Granit Xhaka coming back in for Fabio Vieira. But let me know anyway what you guys think. Who would you like to see start tonight? In what formation? Let me know, as always, in the comments below. Okay, so quickly on the Youth Cup, obviously bad night for Arsenal. Started really well. Mario Benjamin scoring a goal, 1-0, playing well at that point, but then West Ham just scored twice in a couple of minutes in midway through the first half, turned the game on its head, and then they ran away, 5-1 winners. It was a really bad night for Arsenal, disappointing for those young players. There was a chance at 3-1. I thought at half-time Wiltshire changed things a little bit. He changed formation. He dropped him behind Benjamin, who went in as a central striker. And I thought Arsenal played much, much better. Kamara came on. It was really bright down the left-hand side, and they were causing West Ham problems, but they just couldn't get that goal. Had they got that goal and got back to 3-2, the momentum would have been with them, and they would have given themselves a chance. But West Ham, to their credit, they managed to see that period out. The keeper made a couple of big saves. Arsenal missed a couple of big chances. And then, West Ham, just with 20 minutes to go, went up the pitch, got a corner and scored from it. And that was it. There was no chance of a comeback after that. That sucked the life out of Arsenal. And West Ham scored another goal from a set piece after that and ended up running out 5-1 winners. It's a harsh scoreline. It's a bad scoreline for the young Arsenal players to deal with. And it was, fair play to West Ham. Their fans were brilliant. 87,000 there. It was good. 34,000 at the Emirates last night. West Ham packed out the clock end and made a really good noise and supported the team well, and it certainly drove them on, and great celebrations for them at the end. They're a very good team. They're top of their table in terms of the league, West Ham as well, so they've had a fantastic season. Jack Wilshere after the game was like, the overriding feeling is sadness because the boys deserve more than that, but this is part and parcel of development. Sometimes football is horrible and they're devastated because they deserve more, but now you'll see the strong ones and who bounces back. I lost finals in my career and there's no worse feeling, but now it's how you respond. There are a few good performances. I gave Raul Walters man of the match, actually, which seems a bit mad, given a centre-back man of the match when they conceded 5 goals. But none of the goals were really his fault, and I thought he was definitely the outstanding player on the Arsenal pitch. He set up the first goal with this drive-in run that ended with Kozia Dubry having a shot that was saved and Benjamin scored, but it was all down to Walters' run from the back. He did that a few times. He was almost playing as a midfielder at times, Raul Walters. He was the driving force. He was the one who looked like he could get Arsenal back into the game, and you can tell he's out of all of that group, and they're a very, very young group, like Nwaneri, Miles Lewis-Skilling, 16-year-old kids. But you can tell that Raul Walters is one player who's been in and around the first team for a long, long time because he just looked a cut above everyone else, I thought. He played well. Kozia Dubry, I thought, was bright whenever he got on the ball. I thought, I've forgotten his name. Bradley Ibrahim, in defence midfield, I thought he played pretty well. And every time I see Ibrahim, I think he looks like a decent player. So there were a few standout performances. Ethan Nwaneri, obviously a lot of hype about Ethan. Very young kid, only just turned 16, and he struggled. He did not have a good night. Whether the pressure, the occasion, whatever got to him, but it just didn't quite work out for him. And there was the same could be said of a few of the young players. So it was a bad night, it was a tough night, but hopefully it'll be one that they all learn from. And just getting to the finals has been a fantastic achievement because it's a very young team. They've had some big games along the way, got through them, and it would have taught them an awful lot. As probably the actual defeat in the final will teach them an awful lot as well. So bad night for them, but I'm sure they will be back. Alright, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. If you can get through the day, try and do it without being too nervous. Huge match ahead, of course, and I will be at the Etihad, so keep your eyes peeled, as I said, for all the usual stuff from me on social media. Enjoy your day, everyone. Cross those fingers, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.